Story behind the photograph. This photo behind the Gare Saint Lazare, Paris 1932. A man is frozen in midair, leaping over a flooded patch of ground behind a train station. His heel is a fraction above the water's surface. Below him, his reflection mirrors the leap perfectly. He is suspended between the jump and the landing, and he has been suspended there for 90 years. This is Behind the Gare Saint Lazare by Henri Cartier Bresson. Time magazine considered it one of the 100 most influential photographs of all time. Many photographers simply call it the greatest street photograph ever made. Who was Cartier Bresson? He was born in 1908 in France, and he did not begin as a photographer. His early interest was in painting, but in 1931 he discovered a photograph in an arts magazine and he decided to focus on photography. And in 1932 he obtained his first 35 mm Leica, and this he chose for two reasons. One was for spontaneity, and the second reason was for anonymity. And for that, he even covered the silvery chrome areas of his camera with black tape so that nobody could see it. Now, how was this photograph taken? This image was captured outside the Saint Lazare station in Paris. What happened really was he was just passing by a construction site with a temporary fence. As he was passing, he put his camera in between the planks in a way that the fence completely blocked his viewfinder, together with part of his lens. He could not see what he was shooting. He pressed the shutter blind. Henri Cartier Bresson showed his camera through a gap in the construction fence, blocked his own viewfinder, and fired blind. The resulting photograph became the defining example of what he would later call the decisive moment. What is in the frame? Look carefully at the photograph. A man is in midair, leaping over wet ground, his shadow reflected beneath him. Behind him, posters on a wall advertise dancers who echo the man's movement, as well as the Raylovsky circus. The geometry is extraordinary. The leaping man and his reflections form a vertical axis. The wet, flooded ground creates a horizontal plane of light. A fallen ladder in the lower left provides a diagonal that pulls the eye across the frame. Everything in this image is in motion, yet everything is frozen. Behind the man, a poster of a dancer echoes and reverses his movement. The street itself is echoing him back. This is not coincidence. This is what Cartier Bresson meant by the decisive moment, instant when the world briefly arranges itself into meaning. 20 years after taking this photograph, Cartier Bresson coined the term the decisive moment. In his book Images a la Sauvage, that was published in 1952, he did not come up with the idea himself, but he took it from the 17th century Cardinal de Retz, who once wrote, "There is nothing in this world that does not have a decisive moment, and the masterpieces of good ruling is to know and seize this moment." Cartier-Bresson borrowed these words and applied them to photography. And this photograph, taken 20 years earlier, shot blind through a fence, became its proof. And he explained his approach. For me, the camera is a sketchbook, an instrument of intuition and spontaneity, the master of the instant, which, in visual terms, questions and decides simultaneously. Cartier-Bresson passed away in 2004, aged 96 years, and in his later age, he put down his camera and focused entirely on his earlier interest, that is drawing. But this photograph remains a man forever in the air above a puddle in Paris, a heel that never touches the water, a moment that has lasted over 90 years and counting. That is what one decisive moment can do.